Welcome to the Rock You Podcast for authors, coaches, thought leaders, and speakers. Are you ready to share your message with a bigger audience and create a better world? It's time to see you, be you, rock you. With a goal of helping those who help others succeed. Here are your hosts, Ronnie Tsunami and Benjamin Typhoon Chatsoon.
Aloha, welcome. I'm Ronnie Tsunami.
What's up, everybody? This is Benjamin Typhoon Chatsoon.
Today here on the Rock You Podcast, I'm extremely excited to have a good friend of mine and one of the women I most admire in the whole world, and I mean that seriously. This is Dr. C. Scott. Dr. C is a tireless thought leader and critical thinker. Her television persona displays a joyful and carefree nature that comes with 30 plus years of TV experience. Dr. C has been a teacher of brain optimization in 6 continents for over 20 years. She has a method for creating pathways to success that work for all individuals universally and shortcuts for one-on-one with her followers. Now, she's also a best-selling author in multiple categories on Amazon, and her mission is to connect every curious person to their goals and a life abundant in relationships, health, and wealth. Decision-making is a science that Dr. C has articulated, allowing people with completely different goals to attain the perfect result for them, not for others who utilize the same tools that she has created. When the head and heart are aligned and decided, everyone discovers that all things are possible. Your purpose is allowed to become your fun. And she spends half of her time lecturing throughout the world and appearing on television as a media psychologist. As an actress, TV host, and producer, Dr. C has earned 8 Tellys, 2 Vision Awards, and 2 Emmy nominations for production and hosting. With an enormous wealth of experience, Dr. C delivers tools that advance and succeed with the media and in life. Welcome, Dr. C.
Welcome.
Hi, Ronnie. Hi, Ben. It's great to be with you today.
It's amazing. I'm really happy to be having this conversation because I think for me too, I don't know really much about traditional media and your area of expertise. And I think it lends a lot of value to what we're doing, not only at Rock You, but the event coming up, JV Jams Live, because I think in general, a lot of the people that are going to be attending, if not all of them, really don't understand what it takes to be media ready, which is what I understand is your areas of expertise, is to have people magnetically be able to show up in that space ready to drop the hammer, you might say, right? So in the spirit of, say, our guests that are going to be at the event and anybody watching the podcast, let me ask you this. What would you say the major differentiators and benefits are of media as compared to, say, social media, which is what a lot of our guests at the event and also people who are going to be watching the podcast are probably used to hearing about?
Well, first of all, you have to realize that media does not really involve your personal life, or it could. And I don't really want to go into that aspect of it right now, but social media is so many different things. And it can be your business, or it can be your personal life. It can be a lot of different things. Broadcasting is for the masses, okay? Really, social media is more of a narrowcasting thing where you are picking up followers or you are picking up viewers that are going to relate to you. They like your message, or they think they like your message, so they're paying attention. When you're broadcasting, you're trying to appeal to so much more. So back in the day, maybe 30 years ago, I would write infomercials and commercials. I wrote a lot of direct response commercials to help people sell their products. And it was always amazing how everybody thought that their product was better than sliced bread, and how they were going to take this idea and it was just going to make zillions of dollars. And a lot of these ideas were not for broadcast. They were very small markets, but they wanted to spend money to make commercials. And unfortunately, that drove that whole type of marketing, the direct response marketing, their statistics down, because too many people were just throwing too much stuff against the wall and hoping it stuck. So a lot of differences between the two. But I have to say, social media you can turn off if you want. And I don't just mean turning off your notifications. I mean, you choose who you're watching. There are so many channels. And now there are also a lot of television channels. And we're mostly talking about television, although there are a lot of podcasts. There's just an infinite amount of everything. And there's a great overlap now. But I would say overall, when you're talking about the media, you're talking about a huge audience and you're talking about broadcasting, which is far different than narrowcasting.
See, because so many different coaches and authors and speakers come to us with a need, or at least what they believe is a need for having a large social media following. How important is that to media? Like, to get to be seen on media, do the media planners and and basically people who are finding, right, scouts, so to speak, how closely do they look at your social media following to say, well, you'd be a good guest because you have X amount of followers?
They certainly do now, but what they're looking for right now is they're trying to find out if you are going to fit their segment. You have to fit into their mold. And these people that you're not really naming are producers. They're producers of radio, producers of shows, producers of TV. And these producers work for the host and they work for the entity that broadcasts the show, whether that's Good Morning America or whether that's evening news or someone's talk show, could be comedy, it could be so many different things. And when you can get on one of these things, you can change your entire life with one appearance. One appearance can change everything. You could sell 100,000 books if you're an author. You could change your whole following in social media. You could gain tons of followers with the right appearance. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a big difference. And yeah, as you know, see, I have my own streaming TV network, right? Plant-based network. And trying to explain to people why they should sponsor or pay for advertising, right, on TV versus social media was a constant thing, because people would say, well, social media is free. And even some of the guests and hosts or guest people that we brought on, or people who wanted to host their own TV show, would say, well, I can be on YouTube on social media and it's free, again, compared to paying a fee to be on a TV network. And I'd say, well, actually, I think the figure we saw was 70 to 80% trust factor for people watching TV versus an 8 to 12% trustworthiness factor for, I think social media in general was 8%. I think YouTube had a 12%, which is a big jump, right? That means people trust you about 12% versus 70 to 80% on TV. Hence, the big companies would put their advertising dollars towards TV still, even in this day where everyone thinks everyone's on social media. But, have you seen that in real life? Because you are, I don't go on TV much. You do, right?
Well, sure, absolutely. Because just because you post something on YouTube doesn't mean someone is going to watch it or share it or follow you. So obviously, if you get on a platform, a television platform or a radio platform or a podcast where there's a huge following, you stand to gain a lot more recognition. Your brand awareness increases vastly. For an author, you can sell more books. Whatever you're doing, people are going to really establish in their mind that you are the expert. And I'm going to tell you honestly, the way people's minds work, they are hoodwinked all the time. The brain is not arranged so that you'll be successful. The brain is arranged for certain situations, danger, and to take care of you. And it doesn't always see things in the reality that they should be seen. So basically, just because somebody says something on TV, it doesn't mean it's the truth, but there is often an interim agreement around that. And that news will carry. So whether it's true or not, because we all know, if you watch the news, that there's, a lot on there that's opinion now.
Right.
Before on the news or in a newspaper, when I was a little kid, I learned how to write an article in terms of who, what, where, when, why, how. Now it's more opinion. So it's a lot of hype. And what you're trying to do here by getting into the media and getting your message heard, which, we all have a message. Do we want it to be heard? Well, I think a lot of people at Rock U definitely want to be heard. So if you want to be heard, you've got to hone that message, and it's got to be a message that sticks, because people have a lot of distractions. And I'm talking not 100 distractions a day. I'm talking about tens of thousands of distractions every day. So how do you get your hook in and create that response from that viewer that you really want? So there's a lot to this. There's a whole science to it, and different things work better for different people because we're all different. But at Rock U, I plan to spend some time with everybody and really see where their strengths are and see where they can win, because not everybody wins the same way. True?
True.
Wow.
You said a lot right there. There's a lot in what you just said. And I'd love to even just have a whole episode on the stuff that you just said about the brain, because obviously having a psychology background, you have some very interesting insights into that. That would be a fascinating conversation. Maybe we'll do a little bit here, but the one thing that you were talking about was attention span, right? And I heard, this even makes you laugh, right? So I was listening to someone talk about that the other day, and they were saying, so actually a friend of mine, she was telling me how you want to position things on social media, because I'm looking to market a few things. So I was picking her brain about it a little bit, and she was talking about how at one point, our attention spans have been eroded down to a few seconds at this point, is what she was saying. Our attention spans used to be, I don't know, you could probably speak to it more than I could even refer to what she was saying, but so many minutes, then smaller and then smaller. And she said something like people's attention span is 7 seconds or 10 seconds now.
Yeah, right. So
and you're there's distraction, and it's between the media and oh my God, it's so much.
Right. So just when you get that 30-second elevator pitch down, it does
15 seconds, 7 seconds.
Whack it down. So yeah, that's one of the things that we're going to do in my course, because I do want you to be mediagenic and I do want you to be heard. And not only will we hone the message, but we will definitely get that to the point where you're compelling enough, because as you're talking about this, you're saying someone's explaining this to you. And I'm saying to myself, well, how long did it take them to explain? Because people are just totally snoring off on you. And you just don't have the amount of time that you think you have. It's like that infomercial product where you think it's the best thing ever and everybody's going to be so excited. And same with a book. How do you sell a book? Everybody thinks their book is brilliant. And my course is a great course for authors. It's a great course for anybody with a business or a service that they want to get out there, and a message where they become that go-to person. That's what you're trying to establish. You're trying to get everyone to agree, even if it's interim agreement. That's really good enough. So you have interim agreement around yourself that you are an expert, that you do know, and you are the go-to resource. Right?
Makes sense.
Yeah. Something else you just said reminds me, I've coached people on some sales and business development and awareness and things like that around all this stuff in my realm. Right. And when people are doing sales, they're selling what they think is valuable. to them.
Yeah.
But I've often told them, I'm like, look, you have to discover it's not what's valuable to you, it's what's valuable to them.
So much so.
And it's like,
so it's all about the audience. And if you were in sales and if you were excellent at sales, you would first find out what that potential client, what that potential customer wants to buy before you start blabbing off.
right.
Because you're losing them, you know.
Yep.
He's going down. He's thinking about what he's going to have for dinner. He's thinking about what he's doing on the weekend.
Lost them.
Forget it.
Yep.
Forget it. And
Yep.
if they're on television, they're changing the channel. Bad, very bad.
Well, speaking of mistakes, what are what would you say are the three most common or biggest mistakes that you see when people want to build credibility and visibility on media, and let's just call them rookie mistakes?
Okay, well, first of all, it is that taking the measure from your own shoe, for thinking that what's interesting to you is interesting to everyone else. You have to, on television, on radio, whenever you're broadcasting, you have to broaden your message. You have to include more people, or else you're going to get a very small segment of the pie and everybody else is going to change the channel, which is exactly what you don't want. So you don't want to take the measure from your own shoe. You want to find out, what does that audience care about? Why are they tuned in? And work with that. So yes, Ben, very good call.
Well,
Then the second thing, probably being mediagenic, really being the type of person that's really interesting. And different things work for different people. There is a man that is on the finance channels in the morning that wears a cow suit. He is a large man. He dresses like a cow with a white suit with big, blotchy black spots on it. And so your mind connects to cash cow. Now, if you've taken any finance classes or whatever, and he's in your face, and that does not work for everybody. That does not work for me sometimes. I've done some really crazy stunts for certain types of promotions, but by and large, that's not really my pitch. So people need to understand what works for them, what makes them telegenetic, because same things don't work for everybody. We have to try and just get out the gong, you know, and just say, don't do that. That is not working for you. So that's why an interactive class is going to really help people. And probably the third thing is to understand that you can't go real narrow. You really are trying to appeal to whoever you're trying to appeal to, or at least carve out the people that are going to follow you, and do it fast. You just don't have a lot of time to carve those people out and to get them interested. And while they're interested, get your message out to the point where they take some action, whether it's go to your website, whether it's jump on your social media, whatever it is that you want them to do. Go on Amazon and buy your book, whatever it is. You don't have that much time, and people spend too much time. They just don't understand the attention span, and they don't understand that people are busy. I have a huge attention span. I watch long things and try to get huge concepts into my brain. But I'll tell you what, I have a time issue. So it's really true that people are just not going to give you as much time as you'd like to have.
Well, you know, it brings up an interesting point, because if it's coming up in my head, it might come up for our viewers and our guests as well at the event. You know, the traditional, like, we even do this at Rock U, right? We want to narrow our scope as to your target audience, and we're talking about broadening it. So I'd like to have this discussion, and I'd like to see how it actually, because I can see the value in finding the win and the sweet spot between both of those. How, if we have people that are traditionally taught as coaches, as we do with our pipe system, purpose, interest, passion, and experiences, to help them narrow and become very, very clear on their avatar, their target audience. And now you're speaking about broadening the message to appeal to more people. How do we find that balance?
Well, okay. If you're selling a book, if you are on television, on a program that's got over 1 million viewers, you're going to be broadcasting. But if I was advising someone on their business and on their purpose, I would say, yes, you need to find a niche. That niche is where you're going to make your money. That's the real money. But how many people will buy your book? How many people will buy it for someone else for a gift? You have to give them a lot of reasons to get excited, and you don't have a lot of time to do it. And it is true, both are true. And in social media, what appeals to someone, honestly, think about a talk show. Do you want a talk show host who's like you, who's maybe an overweight woman who appeals to overweight women at home, who's having a hard time going on a diet? Now, none of this psychology makes any sense to me at all, because I'm really into the body, mind, and spirit and really being the best I can be. But messages can vary. Some people may not be interested in that message. So some people just need to be placated and they have more time. There are different strokes for different folks. But I agree that if you are choosing a business and you are trying to figure out who you're selling to, get a niche within that business where you can really make a killing, where you become the go-to there. Because it's really hard to be the go-to for everybody. People like Tony Robbins can do it. It's rare, but boy, when it happens, obviously it's extremely powerful. So did I answer that?
Well, so it sounds like there's a blend. It sounds like from a business perspective, because I always say, like, you want to talk to one person. You want to speak to one specific person with your offering, because in that speaking to that one person, because you're relating to who they are, it might even be who you used to be. You can speak to that person who you were 10 years ago, where they're at, their pains, their sufferings, and all that. But in that, it's going to expand outward from there, and you'll pick up different types of people that are similar, maybe not exact. So it sounds like it would expand off of that. But when it comes to, say, showing up on media, the message just gets to be adjusted some so that it captures more of the attention, so that the results are a little, because it's a different type of result is what we're talking about.
And to speak to that, when you're broadcasting, when you're on television and you're on every day, you don't really know who's viewing the show. At first, I didn't know that a lot of people that were in prison that wanted to work out were watching me work out in a gym with movie stars and trying to get a lot of training tips because they wanted to learn how to work out. I didn't know that my brand of entertainment would also lend me to grandmothers. I had people writing fan mail that sent pictures of their grandchildren to me, which is very touching because you've got a really broad bunch of people and you don't know who you're talking to. The only thing you can do is you can ask about the show, do some research, because I can't believe that there are really people out there who are smart enough to get booked, but they don't have any idea what that show is about or what they're supposed to talk about that day. So you really need to know who the audience is, but so often you're not going to know, and you could change somebody's life.
Makes sense.
I've done it a lot of times. I don't know who I'm speaking to. I just try to do it with love because that's my brand. I try to do it so that I touch people in a certain way. Maybe I make them laugh. Maybe I make them laugh at themselves. I do a lot of that because nobody's perfect, but then yet we're all perfect. So this is really the difference between media and social media. And both are powerful. Both are good used the way that is effective for you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, go, man.
Well, it sounds like as always, the intent is different for, say, picking a niche and then also being on media, and the awareness of thought is different as well, because instead of trying to understand the environment of your client, which is your business and your niche, the environment that they're in, so you can speak to it, you're looking to, when you go into media, you're more looking to be aware of the environment that you're walking into. That way you can fit the environment, because you're the same person, but you have to kind of shift characters, basically.
Right. And it's just like if you were an actor, you're going on stage, you're going on TV, you're going into a film. It's a big screen, it's a small screen, it's a stage. Your mannerisms, the size of your mannerisms, everything has to adjust for that different role.
Makes sense.
See what I'm saying? So this is all a lot of adjustment, and some of it takes time. Luckily, I've had almost 3 decades to figure out some of this stuff, but I'm happy to share it, and I'm happy to help people to be the best they can be. And I think that's really the most important thing. Be the best person you can be, get your message out the best you can, and help people as much as you can help them. Some people don't want help. Some people really want your help. Some people you'll never help. They're going to go someplace else. And you have to be okay with that. And you have to know that your audience is going to fit you. But you can always entertain a lot of people. And you can always have them say, I watched this woman on TV and she was really a hoot. I couldn't do what she does, but I think you should watch this. You just never know where anything goes. You really don't know until you get that kind of fan mail that I got. I mean, you just never realize.
See, Ronnie, you never know. We just had that conversation last night. You just never know who's in the audience. You know what I mean?
Penguins in Antarctica that he didn't even know he.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
Ronnie, you are awesome. And
well, speaking of helping others, Dr. C, I know that you've been developing this new course, right? And we want to advertise that because we're going to be sharing that with all of our Rock You Academy members and promoting it because it is focused on that aspect of getting known and making that broadcast to as many people as possible for media. Tell us more about that.
Well, as I said, we're going to go with the rules of how you get in the door, but the different pitches are going to have to be honed. We have to find out what your message is and who you are and how the best way to present that message is. And we might have different pitches for different things. And throughout the year, your pitch is going to change. Throughout the shows that you pitch, your message is going to change. And so you have to learn how to pitch for different situations. And you have to trust yourself. You have to have confidence. I know that there are lots of courses at Rock You about that. But honestly, it's important that your message is something that people are ready to accept. So sometimes just even wordsmithing and working with people and really getting comfortable with that so that when you're on, you're ready to go. You've got to be ready to go. You don't have 5 minutes to straighten out your papers and pull yourself together. When you're on, you're on. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be helping people to be ready to go, media ready, and to get their message heard and to get some response to that message. That's what we're going to be doing.
Excellent. Excellent. And for everyone who may not realize, Dr. C is part of Rock You Academy. We're promoting her as our media psychologist because let's face it, we need to create those rock star coaches to help you to stand out in the crowd. We've got to use everything available, including media, which is why at JB Jams Live, we're having you, Dr. C, be a part of JB Jams Live and speak at JB Jams Live, which is August 16th to the 18th. If you haven't signed up yet, just go to jbjamslive.com and understand that when you meet people there, a lot of the techniques that Dr. C has, it's all about standing out, even with potential JV partners, joint venture partners, where you're going to be cross promoting each other, but they need to be at least aware of what you can do. And a lot of people feel like, and Dr. C, this is one of the big challenges for a number of people. They don't have a big email list. They don't have a big social media following. So they've got to rely on other things to help them put their best foot forward, at least show that they are, as you said, media ready.
Right. Absolutely. Well, we're going to work with people. We're going to find out where their strengths are and how to really get that to stand out. And the confidence, I do think people have issues with that. I think it's really important that people start to understand where their weaknesses are, and they start to understand that you're not even going to try if you don't think you can cross the finish line. So you have to come to something within yourself and decide whether you're going to go the distance or not. And then don't quit, because most people quit. If you're going to go, then go all the way. If you're going to quit, you could have taken the week off. You know what I'm saying? Really, honestly.
I'd like to ask you a personal question.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. It's not that personal. It's more of a get to know you kind of question.
Okay.
You have extensive experience in media, Hollywood, advising people in media psychology, stars, and things like that. I've seen some of your material. I'm looking forward to getting to know you as we move forward. You said it in the beginning. You mentioned things like comedy. I know I've seen like your reel with the fitness stuff and things like that. Of all the, I guess they're industries, fitness, comedy, these things. What are some of your favorites? What's your favorite one to like engage in and have fun with?
Wow. I'm not even sure that I fully understand the question. However, anything really having to do with the body, the mind, or the spirit, I really like. But I did stand-up comedy. I did work at the Improv in Los Angeles. And I really got started in it just to find out if I could do it or if I would bomb. And to just put yourself out there and say, I don't know what I'm doing this for, because I don't even know if I want this to be my career, but I need to see whether I bomb or not. That is really scary. I really, truly love comedy. I really, truly like physical comedy and jokes and things like that. But honestly, I think that there's a lot of power in that, because people need to be cajoled sometimes to do things. And if they can laugh at themselves a little bit or laugh at the situation a little bit, you can gain ground, and they're going to gain ground too. They're going to become more or learn something about themselves perhaps. But if you're asking me if I like to act in movies and things like that, I do limitedly. I will go and act a small part now and then in one of my friends' films or something like that. And it is fun for me. But honestly, I think the person that I like to play the most is me. And I figured that out in my 20s. I just did not feel really fulfilled spending full time reading lines for a soap opera, which I did, for a nighttime drama, for whatever. I just thought, if I don't do this, they're just going to hire somebody else who's a reasonable facsimile of me that's going to read those lines. It might not sound exactly the same, but they're going to go ahead and get this show made. And I just don't feel that I'm making a difference here. So I'm not even sure if I answered your question.
Well, yes and no. Your answer was great. There's no wrong answer. My understanding is you're somewhat of a consultant to people to help people be media ready, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a media psychologist, and in this situation, I'm more of a psychologist that works with the media, not on the media, helping people to understand human behavior, which is what I really do. I explain human behavior, but in this case, I'm going to be looking at two sides and saying, where is this going to create a win-win and help our students to get a win-win with the media, right?
We're definitely going to have you on more and talk about more human behavior. It's one of my favorite topics in my own way. I've never studied psychology, and I love the ins and the outs of things. But I will say this: when you were talking about, I said this the other day. Ronnie would call me a wordsmith in my own way.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw the other day with the word humor is that, and you touched on it, you said it, but I say it like this: our sense of humor allows us, when I say it to somebody else, your sense of humor allows you to be you more. Your humor allows you to be you more.
Yeah, it does loosen people up, right?
You said they get in touch with themselves.
Loose. I totally agree that it shakes something loose. And when we're more relaxed, then we can continue to evolve.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Yeah, and I've noticed too with comedy, because it's another, I even have my own, believe it or not, I have my own professional comedy name. I came up with it a few years ago. I thought about going that direction. We'll talk about that definitely another time, because it's actually pretty funny, the name. But I noticed that when you can deliver important information through a humorous approach, it tends to get underneath the defenses that people have up about, like, they're guarding and protecting with their opinions and things like that, and their beliefs. And humor tends to slide underneath that, so that the information can grow up underneath them because they laugh.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
So we need a class on humor, because I'm not very funny. I'm thinking I'm gonna need.
You're funny, trust me.
I can teach stand-up. I could probably even get
that would be great.
My friends.
Improv, yes.
Wait. Okay.
Yes, and
Dr. C, how many people have you interviewed, would you say, in total? Because when you talk about your friends, I don't think everyone understands how many friends you have.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, as far as movie stars and things like that, I mean, over 1,000 that I've interviewed for sure, but I have a lot more opportunities than what I have time to do, because in order to just keep racking up those interviews, that's very time consuming to get set up, to do all these things. So I have to, when I do interview someone, I like to get a message. I like to get their secrets to success. I like to get their health and beauty secrets, because people say, wow, she looks really good for her age, or whatever. And, you know, I'm just going to tell you, as a body, mind, and spirit expert, for somebody that's been doing body, mind, and spirit for 25 years, I'm going to tell you, I don't honestly look that much different than I did 25 years ago. The stuff that I teach actually works. And if you go to drc.com, and that's spelled out doctorcie.com, you can start to get a hint of that and see what I can do to help you to be better, because so much of what I do is on my YouTube channel. You can consume it for free. And so many stars will gladly share things. If you wanted to know about Bo Derek, or somebody that's always been interesting to you, I mean, that's what I enjoy doing with those people. I don't so much care about every single movie that they do. I care about them and how they can help my audience.
Join Dr. C at JV Jams Live. JV Jams Live and Dr. C's program will be on Rock You Academy, as well as we do the Mediagenic course. And keep in mind, if you want to network and meet other entrepreneurs and coaches and speakers and authors to joint venture and to learn how to stand out as well, because we've got some great trainers and presenters. Again, JV Jams Live is the place to be. August 16th through the 18th, go to jvjamslive.com. And we are now allowing people to get updates on our guests and special offers through text message. You want to text ROCKYOU, ROCKYOU, to 55678. Just text ROCKYOU 55678. We'll let you know of upcoming programs, our guests, as well as offers from our guests too. So Thank you, Dr. C, for being a part of the new Rock You podcast.
It's great.
Namaste. And
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ronnie Tsunami. And I just had a blast. Thanks for having me.
Great
All right.
conversation. Appreciate it. Can't wait.
All right, guys.
Can't wait for the event, guys. Thank you so much.
Take care.